Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Susamil and I'm a Writing Center consultant and history major here at the University of South Dakota. Today I'm going to show you how to format your paper and sources according to the Chicago Manual of Style 16th edition using Microsoft Word 2016 for Mac. The paper you see in front of you now was generously donated by a student, and we've stripped it of all its previous formatting for the purpose of this explainer video. Now, as I said, the guidelines and instructions I give will adhere strictly to the Chicago Manual of Style 16th edition. It's possible that your instructor may have given alternate instructions for a few elements of Chicago we will discuss, so if the instructions given by your professor contradict my own, you should probably go with what they advised. First, let's make sure that everyone has the same formatting options and tools in front of them. Click on the View tab, and then make sure that Print Layout in the upper left-hand corner is selected. You'll also want to make sure that the checkbox appears next to the Ruler menu item. If it doesn't, click it, and rulers will appear along the top and left sides of your pages. This will help us make sure our margins and indentations are correctly set. Chicago instructs us to use 1-inch margins on all sides of the paper. 1 inch on all sides is likely set as the default already, but to double check, let's click on the Layout tab, and then the Margins button. In the drop-down menu that appears, you should see a normal option with 1 inch set on all sides. If you don't see a normal option, you can click on the Custom Margins menu item at the bottom of the drop-down menu. A window marked Document should appear, and you'll be able to manually set the top, bottom, left, and right margins to 1 inch from here. Before accepting the changes by hitting OK, make sure that you have selected Apply to Whole Document from the drop-down menu at the bottom. Now hit OK. Next, let's discuss the formatting of the body of the text. For academic research papers, Chicago instructs students to double space and left justify their body text. To do this, you must first select all the text in the document. Move your mouse to the top of the screen, click once, and then from the top menu that appears, we'll select Edit. From the drop-down menu, we'll then choose Select All. The text should now appear within a blue background. Click on Format at the top of the screen, and then select Paragraph from the drop-down menu. This button should launch a window labeled Paragraph. From here, you'll be able to double space your body text by selecting Double from the Line Spacing drop-down menu, below Spacing. You'll also want to make sure no extra space appears in between paragraphs, making sure that the check mark appears in the box labeled Don't Add Space Between Paragraphs of the Same Style. While we're in this window, we can also set our indentations by selecting First Line from the Special drop-down menu and making sure that point 5 appears in the box to the right. Hit OK to save your changes and close the paragraph window. While the 16th edition doesn't require the use of a specific font, they do recommend the use of Times New Roman. You can change your font to Times New Roman by clicking on the Home tab and selecting it from the Font drop-down menu in the top left-hand corner of the menu ribbon. The menu lists fonts in alphabetical order, so you may have to scroll down to the T's. If you want, you can also select a font by typing into the top of the drop-down menu. Chicago Style mandates that writers use font sizes no bigger than 12 and no smaller than 10 point. You can change your font using the drop-down menu immediately to the right of the font menu. Now that we've completed formatting the body of the text, we can deselect by clicking anywhere on the page. Next, let's create our title page. When using Chicago Style, writers are instructed to include a title page that contains the paper's title, author, class, and date of submission. To start, let's insert a new page using Word's page break function. Click your cursor at the beginning of your first paragraph, then select Insert from the top menu. Hover over Break from the drop-down menu, and then select Page Break from the side menu that appears. You should now have a blank page at the beginning of your document with only a title at the top. Chicago Style recommends that you list your title centered a third of the way down the page in all caps. First, let's make sure that Word hasn't automatically inserted an indentation in front of our title. Click immediately to the left of the first word of your title and hit the backspace key. Then hit Enter 5 to 6 times. Next, select your entire title and click on the center icon. This should center your title in the middle of the page, with equal space on both sides. Now, capitalize each letter in your title by selecting the Case drop-down menu and clicking on the third item labeled Uppercase. Chicago also requires us to add the author, class, and date on the title page. To do this, let's click to the right of the title and then hit Enter 8 to 10 times. Then, type the author's name, the class name, and the due date all on separate lines. Finally, let's add page numbers for the paper. Unlike an MLA or APA, Chicago does not require a special title or name in the header, simply a page number in the upper right-hand corner. Unfortunately, unlike an MLA or APA, the Chicago Manual of Style tells us not to number the title page, so we have to go through a couple extra steps. First, double-click on the very top of your title page. This should open a special Header and Footer tab on the ribbon at the top of the window. Now, make sure that the box for Different First Page is unchecked within the Options section of the ribbon. Now, we'll click on the Page Number drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner of the screen and select Format Page Numbers. A dialog window labeled Page Number Format should appear. Under the page numbering heading, make sure that Start At is selected and type 0 in the box. Click OK and then select the Page Number drop-down menu again. However, now we'll select the page number item. And from the window that appears, we'll choose Top of Page and Right. Hit OK. The page numbers, starting with 0 on the title page, should now appear in the upper right-hand corner. Now all we have to do is remove the 0 from the title page. To do this, we simply recheck the box next to Different First Page, and the 0 is deleted. Now that we've formatted the document and inserted page numbers in the title page, let's discuss the formatting requirements of Chicago Citations. Chicago Style utilizes two documentation methods, the Notes and Bibliography method and the Author Date method. The Notes and Bibliography method is the most common type of Chicago Style used, and I've outlined it in a previous instructional video you can find in the description below. In this video, I'll show you how to cite and format your sources according to Chicago's Author Date method. Now, like a few other citation styles you're probably somewhat familiar with, such as APA or MLA, Chicago's Author Date method cites sources using parenthetical information that refers to a specific entry in a reference page. Let's first start with parenthetical citations. In Chicago, parenthetical citations should be used whenever a piece of non-common knowledge information learned from an outside source is quoted, paraphrased, summarized, or referred to. Each parenthetical citation contains the same three basic elements: the author's last name, the year of publication, and, if necessary and available, the page number. An in-text citation can come in two forms. In the first form, each of the three elements mentioned above are listed within the parentheses at the end of the sentence or phrase containing the information you are citing. Note that the author's name and year are not separated by punctuation, but that the year and page numbers are. In the second form, the author's name is included in the text, typically at the beginning of the sentence. This style is usually used in the sciences or literature reviews. After the author's name, the year and page number are included in parentheses and separated by a comma. I've included both forms of citations here to illustrate, but when you are citing sources, you'll only want to include one or the other for each citation. If you need to recite the same source consecutively, you won't have to include the author or date again. Simply state the page number where you found the information. In some cases, including a page number may not be necessary. When citing an interview, web page, or press release, only the author and date are necessary. When citing ebooks without page numbers, include some identifying information, such as the chapter or section number, in place of the page number. Now, let's look at Chicago's guidelines for formatting reference entries using the author date method. If you're already familiar with Chicago's notes and bibliography method, you'll notice that the reference entries for both methods are very similar, but with one key difference. In the author date method, instead of listing the year of publication at the end of the reference, you list it second, immediately after the author or authors' names. Let's cite a book or monograph using Chicago's author date method for practice. First, we'll start with the author names. In Chicago style, only the first author's name is inverted, with the last name listed, followed by a comma, and then the first name. All other authors are listed with their first name first and their last name last. Next, we'll type the year of publication, followed by another period. Now, we'll include the title of the book in italics, followed by another period. And finally, we'll include the city of publication, a colon, and the name of the publisher. You'll end the citation with another period. Next, let's cite a journal or periodical article. We'll begin again with the author's name, again inverted, followed by a period. Then, we'll list the year of publication, followed by another period. Then, in quotes, we'll list the name of the article, followed by a period and an end quotation. After this, we'll list the name of the journal in italics, then turn off italics and list the volume number, the issue number in parentheses, a colon, and finally the page numbers for the entire article, not just the part you cited. These are just two of the most common reference citations you'll likely use. If you'd like more information on reference formatting or have questions about specific reference types, check out the link to Chicago's official online citation guide below. Okay, now that we've populated our reference page with all our sources, we need to make sure that our sources are alphabetized so they can easily be located using the information listed in our in-text citations above. To alphabetize your sources, click and hold your left mouse button to the left of your first entry, and, while holding your mouse button, drag your cursor down the screen until it passes your final entry. Then, let go of the left mouse button and click on the alphabetized symbol in the paragraph section of the Home tab. A window labeled Sort Text should appear. Make sure that Paragraph is selected from the first drop-down menu, and then hit OK. Your entry should now be alphabetized. We also have to implement a hanging or reverse indentation for our references page. So, before deselecting the text, go to Format in the top menu, and then select Paragraph from the drop-down menu. Then, in the Special drop-down menu, select Hanging, and hit OK. You should now see that the first line of each paragraph aligns with the left margin, while each additional line is indented 1/2 inch. Finally, we'll also need to label our reference page with the title References, and center it at the top of the page.